Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, ChartGuard Generation, or excuse me, let me start that all over. Hi, welcome. We're pleased to present chart generation in the moment with ChartGuard OnDemand. There, that was better. My name is Chelsea Grover, and I'm the Marketing Communications Manager for iTentiv and DAS Health. I'd like to take a moment to explain the process for today's presentation. First, I'd like to mention this webinar will be recorded and that we'll send out a copy of the slides along with the recording within the next week. Next, I have super exciting news to share with you all. iTentiv is now part of DAS Health. DAS Health is a leading provider of health IT and management solutions and a trusted consultant to many physicians groups, hospitals, and healthcare systems across North America. But don't worry, we're still here to help. We're still going to be here to specialize in NextGen, and our focus is still on you. Next, I wanted to say that some of the services that we provide still are. Oh, Tom, could you go back one slide?
Yep.
Are still, consulting, workflow and process improvement, support, NextGen partner, authorized reseller. Basically, any need that you have in NextGen, we're here to help. We're here to do it. We've been doing NextGen for over 15 years now, and we're not going to stop just because we have a new name. We have ChartGuard add-on tools, including Refund Manager, Unapplied Deposit Manager, Multiple Encounter Billing Manager, ChartGuard, and of course, ChartGuard OnDemand, which is what you're here to learn about today. Okay, so I would like to continue on today's presentation with a couple of quick polls here, just so that we can get a better feel for where you currently stand. So if everybody will take a look up at their screen, this is again just a quick 3-question poll, and answer, how many hours do you typically spend in the week fulfilling medical record requests? Less than 5 hours, 5 to 10 hours, 11 to 20 hours, or more than 25 hours a week? And it looks like we are collecting responses right now. Looks like about 3/4 of you have voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, and let's see. Okay, let's see the results for this one so you can see where you stand against other people. So it looks like the majority of you are spending less than 5 hours a week. Congratulations, that's great. A number of you are spending 5 to 10 hours, 11 to 20 hours, and more than 25 hours. So really we're across the board, but it looks like a lot of you are in good shape. So let's go ahead and do the next one. I'm gonna go ahead and launch this. What is your typical volume of patient medical histories you typically generate each week? Less than 10, 10 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 100, or more than 101? Wow, we were very specific with those numbers. I'm impressed. Okay, so it looks like votes are coming in. We have 33%, 50%, 72%. Okay, it looks like we're holding off around there. So I'm going to close this in 3, 2, and 1. Let's close this and share the results. Okay, so it looks like the average is 6 to 10 per day. Quickly followed by, wow, more than 101, or 3 to 5. So again, we're really spanning a wide assortment here. This is great. So pretty much wherever your practice is at, you should feel good because other practices are with you in their numbers. Okay, so the final question here. What frequency do you typically process medical record requests? Daily, weekly, monthly, or upon request, immediately? So again, if you'll just take a couple seconds to answer this, and it's our last one, and then I promise we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation here for you. We know everybody's busy. Okay, so I'll close this in 3, 2, 1, close. Okay, share those results. Okay, so daily for a lot of you, quickly followed by weekly task and a couple of outliers there. Okay, so with that in mind, let's continue on here. Our presenters for today are going to be Tom Seco. He is the Business Development Manager, and Joseph Schultz, who's the Product Solutions Director. Tom is a subject matter in this solution and is going to be able to answer all of your questions. And Joel Schultz and his team are the people that actually built this powerful add-on, so he's going to be in a great position to demonstrate it. So Tom, I'm going to pass it off to you. Feel free to get started when you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much, Chelsea, and thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. The format for today's webinar is I'm going to take you through a couple slides in the beginning to set the stage for what you're going to see in the demonstration. And then I'm going to turn it over to Joe, and Joe's going to take you through the demonstration of ChartGuard OnDemand. At the end, we'll answer any questions that you have. And then when we're done, our goal is that you will have learned that this add-on product of ChartGuard OnDemand can help you become more effective and more efficient processing and fulfilling the various medical record requests that you receive on a daily basis and a weekly basis. So why do our clients use ChartGuard OnDemand? Well, the goal with all the products that we develop here at DAS Health is to increase productivity, increase efficiency, and to make the job or the task much easier for you to do. With ChartGuard OnDemand, we do this by automating what we've learned to be is a very time-consuming manual process. We've heard stories from our clients and from our prospects of having to basically cut and paste patient record information from various areas to create the appropriate document that's needed to fulfill the request. So as you can imagine, or probably as you've experienced, this can be a quite tedious and time-consuming process. We've also heard that some of these documents that are generated can use reams of printed paper. So using a product like ChartGuard OnDemand will make the job much easier, make the process much more efficient as well. You'll be able to reduce the amount of time that it takes to fulfill audit requests and review requests from insurances. You'll be able to reduce the amount of time that it takes to fill medical requests from attorneys. In 15 minutes or so, you can provide a patient their medical history in PDF format on a USB flash drive that if they walked in and requested it, they could walk away with it in 15 minutes. It makes it much easier to share medical histories with patients, co-managing providers for continuity of care purposes. And then we've also seen it used for providing departing physicians the medical histories of patients that they've served for the purpose of continuing to medically serve that particular patient. These are just some of the common use cases that ChartGuard OnDemand has been used for, so it's not really limited to what you see here and what we just talked about, but it's a very flexible product, and I think you'll see that in the demonstration that Joe takes you through. So how does it work? Well, it's a NextGen Add-On Product. It has an interactive user interface that you can selectively choose the patient or a range of patients for whom you want to generate a patient chart. So you'll see this in the demonstration. You'll also be able to control the depth of history for that particular patient as well. Do it by rendering provider, by financial class, by a range of encounter dates. It will generate a PDF file that is easily transportable, easily readable on any type of device, and it can run against the report database as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe, and Joe's going to take you through a demonstration.
All right, thank you, Tom, and thank you everyone for joining us here. We're going to switch over to the demo machine so I can take you through ChartGuard OnDemand. The great thing is this is an easy to use tool, and you'll see that, and what that means to you is it's going to be a relatively quick demonstration of it, but the beauty of the tool is in the power and the ability to pull data from multiple areas of NextGen and be able to assemble them into a PDF. So the ChartGuard OnDemand user interface will be launched via the add-ons menu. Only people in the appropriate groups will have access to ChartGuard OnDemand. When we launch it, we obviously get the user interface here. And in the upper left is the search criteria, and the right is the elements of the chart, and the bottom is what we're going to see as far as search results. What I'm going to do real quick here is kick off a batch of charts, and then I'll go through and explain how everything works based on this batch that we're going to go ahead and request here that's going to run while I'm talking about the rest of the product. So coming up to the top left where the search criteria is, there are those cases where sometimes a particular patient needs their chart and you just want to go ahead and key in their name, last name, first name, or maybe you have their MedRec number and want to key that in. If it's a common name, you may want to add the date of birth to pull them up. And again, we'd go ahead and submit the chart out of the results down below like I just did as we were getting started. More commonly though, we're pulling a population of charts based on the primary care provider and or financial class. So we can go ahead and select the primary care provider that we want if we're just looking for that. Maybe it's a physician that's leaving the practice, or maybe it's an audit for insurances. And in this case, we may want the primary care provider and the financial class to pull those appropriate charts. We can leave primary care provider out of it and just do financial class also. When we're doing these searches, normally for it to hit the population that you want, you're looking for encounters within a certain range of time. So up here is where you can specify if the persons have had encounters within that start date and end date. Subsequently, once they have a hit there, down below you can specify, you know what, if we've seen them in the last 3 months, give me the last 2 years worth of history. So it's smart enough where you can specify both those date ranges. Also, for those of you who are in large clinics and see patients through a number of different providers, you can go ahead if you want and set the primary care provider, but you may have other providers in your clinic that have seen the patient too. So you can select to only pull the charts for the encounters that have been seen by that particular provider. So you can kind of filter it down. And all the search criteria is stuff we've worked with practices such as yourselves on developing over time based on their needs for what they're looking for in terms of being able to pull different populations. So we're always looking at new ways to add to this and new things that ChartGuard OnDemand can do for pulling the patient information. Now, once you have your population of patients that you want to pull charts for, you can also go ahead and select which elements of the charts you want to go ahead and put in there. So the demographic page, I'll show you this in the sample chart, is just kind of a header that gives you their basic information. But, you know, do you want all their active medications? Do you want their allergies? Do you want to go ahead and pull things like various NextGen documents, maybe master IM? So you can turn these on and off and set up the different definitions that you want based on the type of poll you're doing. Is it a patient medical request? Is it an insurance medical request? Is it a legal audit? So you could have different groupings of these kind of pre-populated. And then within these, you can kind of set how many of them you want in each chart too. So if the patient's been coming to you for 15 years, you're not pulling every master IM for the whole 15 years. Again, maybe you just need the ones for the past several months or the quantity. As Tom was saying, one of the big problems with medical record requests is sometimes these things get to be massive and get to be hundreds of pages long if you start pulling everything. So we're giving you the ability to fine tune what exactly you're going to pull into those charts. So the charts are going to end up as a PDF file. So let's go ahead and come down here and see how the request I set up earlier is doing. So I'm going to select all and get a history and see where these are at. All right, and I can see in the top that all of these went ahead and completed, which is great. So that's part of the speed of the system. The engine wakes up, it runs near the data center. Every few minutes it checks to see if new requests have been done, and then it processes those. So in this case, I can see these have all been taken care of for me. So I'll go ahead and pick this top one, adult female, and we can right mouse, and if we want to see the chart here, we can pick view, and it'll pull up the PDF file. We can go ahead and scroll through that. This is the demographic page at the beginning. This is the allergies and medications, all the different grids that are out here. If you needed, you could put this to paper. If the other party is using it electronically to review these, we also bookmark all the different sections that are pulled in here. So if you want to jump straight to a particular document, or you're looking for things like immunizations, you can go ahead and use those bookmarks. We'll automatically put those in there. Additionally, if you need to move a large number of these over onto an encrypted storage device, whether that's a flash drive or a hard drive, you can go ahead and give the people working this access to the folder where these land, and then you can go ahead and pick these up and drag them out over to the device where you're going to do the handoff of the EPHI for those particular patients that were selected. So ChartGuard OnDemand, it's really about eliminating all the time spent today doing medical record requests. Again, whether that's for the patient, for insurance needs, or legal needs. We talked to practices that were having to go to multiple spots in NextGen, manually print things out, collate them, binder clip them together, hand them off. And what we've done with this tool is really taken that process and set it up so that we're creating a PDF file of the data you need for each patient that can easily be handed off. So I'm going to go ahead now and turn it back to Tom to go through the rest of the presentation, and then we'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. So with regards to what you just saw, we just gave you a high-level overview of ChartGuard OnDemand. And if you have an interest in learning more about ChartGuard OnDemand, get in touch with myself or with Joe. You see our contact information up here on the screen. And we can schedule time with you to have a more in-depth demonstration if you'd like. We can talk about the product and how it would fit within your organization in more detail, and answer any questions that you have as it relates to your organization and your current processes. So with that, we'll answer any questions that you have.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both for that demonstration. And wow, you guys are fast. We're giving people time back in their day. With that being said, we have plenty of time to answer any questions that you have. So feel free to type them in the questions area of the webinar control panel, and we're just going to go through them in the order that we've received them. We only have a couple, so feel free to throw them out there. And I'll just start at the top. First question, do we have to print them or can we email these to our patients?
You can go ahead and distribute them to your patients based on what your compliance officer allows in your practice. So you may or may not email them depending on what permission you have from the patients, but you certainly can. They're PDF files. You may put them out on a portal for patients to go ahead and pick up. Or again, if the patient's there, you may throw it on an encrypted flash drive and give that to the patient. So a lot of different options. The great news is these are just PDF files, so they're viewable on virtually any computing platform out there. These are these files that we, pull down every day, PDF files on the internet. So it was a very intentional decision to use those PDF files to make them accessible and human readable.
Great, thank you, Joe. Next question, how customizable are these charts?
As I was showing, there's a way to pick which sections of the chart you're looking for. So you can go ahead and set up different templates and different configurations for the sections of data that you care about in NextGen and the depth of that data. So you can build out those different scenarios. If there's something special that you needed, please go ahead and reach out to us and we can see what's involved in pulling in those bits of data too. But the ones that are out there are the ones that we've hit to date working with practices on both medical record requests and downtime and all the other great things ChartGuard is used for.
Great, thanks, Joe. Here's another one. Does this populate items that have been scanned into a patient's chart or just templates created within NextGen?
It does pick up ICS too, so you can go ahead and pick which document types out of ICS you want to pull in. And again, those same rules for quantity and date apply to those also, so you don't have to pull everything. Additionally, it's smart enough to realize when things are and aren't attached to an encounter. Sometimes in ICS, it may just be attached to the person. And then you can choose to pick those types of documents or not pick those types of documents depending on what the ultimate destination is.
Great, thank you. Okay, this one's going to put you on the spot, Joe. Do you have an example of a document that failed the process?
I do not have an example of a document that failed to process just because we like to process all the documents. But if it couldn't be pulled in, we just go ahead and skip it if it was unavailable in NextGen in favor of getting you the PDF file.
Okay, next question. Does this show a history of what users pulled from the chart?
It'll show the chart templates and what users pulled those or made those requests, yes.
Could you restate that, Joe?
The answer is
different way. Sorry, it was a little confusing.
Yeah. No, it does track which users initiated the chart requests and what patients came up.
And does
So
it show how much of their chart was? does it show how much, like what aspects of their chart was documented, was
It'll show the
PDF?
template that was in use at the time.
Okay,
So from
thanks.
that, you can look at what the sections were.
Does this also work with NextGen, or do we also work with our NextGen representative for setup?
iTentive and DAS will work with you on the setup and configuration of ChartGuard OnDemand. As part of the installation process, we'll initiate a kickoff call with yourself and stakeholders on your IT and business side, and then we'll move forward from there, getting your initial configuration set up. And then over time, we can go ahead and tweak it if you come up with other needs for the charts and other definitions you want to build for what's in the chart.
Which bonus side to that is really quick turnaround when you have questions or need to make changes, because you work directly with us for those. Next question, can you pull lab results from the order module?
That's what happens in our lab results section. Yes, it'll go ahead and pull those lab results into a page or several
Okay.
pages.
Can you delete pages after creating the chart?
You'd have to use a PDF editor for that. This is strictly a PDF file, so it's going to go ahead and create what's in there. So if you had a PDF editing tool, there's a number of them out there. You could go ahead and pull pages out if you decided you had too much in there, or you could go ahead and reset your chart definition and then just rerun that chart or those several charts.
Okay, thanks. Another question. I'm not familiar with the ICS2, so maybe this is similar. Can it process documents and such and on-base documents that are from an external document management system but presented in NextGen?
Right now, it supports ICS, which is NextGen Document Manager. So anything that's entered into the Document Manager tables in NextGen, we can find. If you have external documents, then we'd probably need to talk with you further and see where those are landing and if NextGen is actually accessing them and knows about them, or if it's just launching the viewer for the other system. So there's some options out there, but we'd have to talk to you one-on-one and get more detail.
Okay, and it looks like this may be our last question, but we'll hang on just in case a few more pop up as people are typing. What's the cost for this add-on?
So the pricing, there's 3 components to the pricing for ChartGuard OnDemand. There is the license fee for the software, and that's a one-time fee. There is the installation, training, configuration fee, and that's a one-time fee. And then there is the software maintenance. That is an annual fee, and that's your only recurring fee. It's priced by practice, so if you could send me an email or give me a call, and I can reach out to you and we can talk about the pricing then too for each of those components.
Okay, perfect. Well, it looks like that's all that we have today, but if you think of them after the fact, feel free to reach out to either Tom or Joe directly. Otherwise, you can always reply back to the email that I'll be sending with a link to the recording and slides. Basically, any way you can get a hold of us, we're happy to help. That's why we're here. We'd love to answer any and all questions that you have. So we look forward to talking with you more, and thanks for joining us today, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.